Hi, I'm Annie, and today's event is organized by Flow Taipei Community. Quick introduction about Flow. Flow was launched in 2019 by Dapper Labs, and the company behind the famous project, like early NFT projects, for instance, CryptoKitties, NBA Top Shot. It was created as a fast, developer-friendly alternative to Ethereum for building NFT and games.
Ben, thanks so much for joining here and really grateful for having you both.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Today we are going to talk about this interesting project. My understanding is it just launched half years ago. Is that right?
Yeah, basically we launched our pre-sale half a year ago. So yeah, Ben, right, it's almost half a year. I think we started selling the first NFTs right before Christmas.
Before we dive into this, will you give us more content about yourself and little background about this? How you know each other and your background and what is this?
Yeah, so I can maybe start. So I'm Sven. I'm one of the obviously two founders of Seeds. I founded the Seeds company together with Ben almost 1 year ago. I think it was March last year, Ben, right, when we started talking about this cool project. My background is, so Ben and me, we know each other from university. Fun fact, regular fun fact, we played in a band together during this university time, spent a lot of time together. And then after university, we split ways a bit. I founded a company called Mind.com, and we became basically the largest animation video production company in the German-speaking market. So we created those little animated storytelling videos for companies, grew to a bit more than 100 employees. It was a lot of fun. And after 6-7 years leading this company, I decided it was time for new stuff. And then some small things in the meantime. And then Ben, right, we talked and you told me about this blockchain thing, right?
It kind of combined with a general interest that we had as well. It's always the purpose-driven side of things. So I guess we had about this blockchain thing, yes. And we did talk a lot about blockchain because at that time I was working at Dapper Labs and got to know all about the Flow blockchain and was really drawn into the positive upsides and advantages of Flow over other chains. And that was a very, very interesting time, really got down to the nuts and bolts of this blockchain. And still now, I mean, we're building Seeds on Flow. We are big fans of that blockchain and it allows us to do so much cool stuff, but later on that. So yeah, Sven and I got into talks and decided, hey, we want to do something with blockchain, obviously. But we thought, there are so many NFT projects out there. We believe that we can add a twist also to that. In kind of most of the things that we did before, we were always purpose-driven in a sense. And so that meant that we really wanted to combine NFTs with gaming and with a purpose. So we came up with this whole kind of paradigm of play for purpose. And that's, I guess, what we'll talk about today. But yeah, this is how Sven and I reconnected and then decided to build Seeds.
So I think you already answered the question. So you decided to build this. Could you give more content about what is this?
So yeah, guys, what is Seeds? So let's grow the future. That's our big claim, if you want. So Seeds is all about the so-called creatures, the Seedles. They are nature-inspired little monsters, and they live as little NFTs on the Flow blockchain. They reduce carbon emissions in their lifetime, which is hopefully forever, because obviously Seedles can't die. And you plant them on the real world map, and they grow with the real world weather. And this is pretty exciting. I think this is one of the revolutionary things we implemented into this wonderful game. And so I think we can also talk a bit about this fact, maybe not the growing, but especially this real world impact, right, Ben? So you're playing with the seeds, you're planting them, you're growing them, but what is actually happening there?
So really two things that we're wanting to do, right? That's Sven just described. Of course, we want to have a real world impact on the real world. And we want to make awareness for real world phenomena. And so for us, it was clear that our game needed to be tied very closely to our purpose. So it was just logic that we take the real world weather and the real world map and combine it and throw that into the game. So something that Sven has just shown here on the screen is basically you plant your seed somewhere across the real world. That doesn't have to be where you live. That can be anywhere in the world. And of course, depending on your type of seedle, a cactus seedle likes more sun than, for example, a ginger seedle. And you can plant it according to the preferences in any region on the world. And the cool thing is it basically grows, your seedle grows with the weather of that location. And you have to keep a close eye on what is too much for that seedle, what it needs as a minimum. And this is kind of how we want to create awareness, but also how we generate financial contributions that are being, for a large part, being converted into CO2 offsets, where we also work together with very acclaimed partners to offset for CO2.
Exactly, and so seedles, here you see, for example, they always belong to one of our rarity stages. You can have a common one like this big, fat, cute almond here, or it can be a legendary super strong one like this super strong lotus seedle here. And yeah, in the end game, you cannot only plant it, you will be able to fight, spend your resources, fight against the evil Lord CO II from the disposable islands, and do a lot of cool stuff, get together with your friends, fight together, hopefully. And yeah, a lot of interesting things happening in the world of seeds.
Thanks for the introduction. So my next question is, why choose build on flow instead of other layer 1 and layer 2? Will you describe more why you choose? Is there any feature?
Definitely, yes. I mean, of course, we were a bit biased since I was working at Dapper Labs at that time, and of course, Dapper Labs having close ties to the Flow blockchain. But really, it was a perfect match in any sense, because for us, the most important thing, of course, is sustainability, and there are many more and more efficient, energy efficient blockchains out there, but to be honest, Flow really sets a whole nother level. Also, if you compare it to other proof of stake blockchains, that is partly due to the multi-node architecture, but also because Flow is just very energy efficient. So that was like the main point for us. At the same time, it's super scalable. So that means we can count on a mainstream audience using that and using that in a quick manner. So that means you get fast responses. You don't have to wait for like minutes for your transactions to be finalized and sealed. And of course, we are here now with another very nice group of people that are loving the Flow ecosystem. So we just believe that this is the most interesting and most vibrant ecosystem out there, simply because they are big brands on Flow, but at the same time, it's the most mainstream audience, I believe, in the whole blockchain space. And this is precisely where we want to go. With Seeds, we want to hit the mainstream. We want to draw people to, like mainstream people, to the blockchain. And this is why we believe that Flow is the perfect place to be. And the same goes for, developers. I mean, we do handle big amounts of value, of digital value with blockchains. And Cadence is a language that is specifically designed for handling digital assets. And it does that particularly well. It does that much better, in my opinion, in our opinion, than other smart contract programming languages. And for both developers and users, Flow offers just a great usability and developability. And that's why, the whole package of Flow really was, I can say a match made in heaven for us. And we are quite happy to be building on Flow.
Like, I know you complete NFT pre-sale half a year ago. So what's your current stage? Like, any development progress? And are you running beta right now?
Exactly. So let's have a look at our roadmap, maybe, so we can have a deeper insight here. So as you correctly said, so we had our NFT pre-sale. So there are around, how much, like, let's say 5,000 seeded NFTs already out there, probably much more. I don't have the correct numbers with me. So that happened. People were able to open their seeded, their seed packs on our platform, which is totally custom made by us. And maybe I think it's a cool time to show you all like how this looked like. So because people in the pre-sale, they didn't get an NFT directly, they bought a pack and then they were able to open it. And we have, I think, a bit more than 100 reaction videos on the internet. the people did this.
Let's do this together and see what I get. What I got. Open the pack. Okay, and see what we got inside. 1, 2, 3. Doo-doo! Oh, explosion. Ohti, look at that. It's a mushroom. Yeah.
So this is basically how was how this experience went like. People were extremely happy. We were really happy. And so the next step, so we are here right now after the launch of the Seeds platform and right before the launch of our marketplace. So in very few weeks, people will be able to trade their NFTs on our own marketplace. So for the first time, people who missed the pre-sale will be able to get their hands on an NFT from Seeds. And this is basically followed by new drops, let's say 2 months later. And while this drops will continue to happen, we are getting closer and closer to the actual game we are building here, including our Fruits token. So this will still happen. The first planting will still happen in the 3rd quarter. So we are in a very interesting state right now. A lot of stuff's happening. And yeah, I think it's a great time to get familiar with the Seeds world, right? Because it's still early. It looks like it's halfway through, but it's still early. This roadmap will grow on the right side, basically.
In short term, you will list your NFT on Flow Market. Flow NFT Market, do you any plan which market, like Lotto Play or?
We are building our own due to the fact, which might be interesting, like why are we building our own marketplace? Aren't there enough marketplaces on Flow? Well, the cool thing is that also on every transaction that you do on the peer-to-peer marketplace, there is a 2.5% fee directed at carbon offsets. So the cool thing is that when you use the Seeds marketplace, actually every transaction, every sale transaction will level the CO2 offset of your little seedle, because we can trace exactly how much CO2 each and every seedle has offset. So this is why you can use our marketplace, but of course we'll be in the future also on other marketplaces, right? And we are very happy to be listed on Block2Bay as well at any time in the future, and of course a matter of time until we go to those other ones as well.
Pre-beta or some campaign we can join before?
So I think the next thing after the marketplace will be new drops in general. There will be recurring new drops from our side. So when you can get new seed packs, entirely new seeded, never shown before. So it's worth registering for the newsletter. And then right, Ben, we call it the growing will begin. You will be able to for the very first time plant your seedle. We have a closed program which we call the Early Seeds family. So those people who participated in the very first pre-sale will be the first ones to discover those features. But definitely, I think the earlier you join this whole thing, the more likely it is that you get a pre-access to stuff. So as I said earlier, if you want to take part from the very beginning, like join now, that's your best chance, right?
If I get your NFT earlier, also kind of SS pass, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in the pre-sale that were included, the early access packs. But as I said, I think it's very likely that we will make this open step by step for various user groups. So you can still be a part of, at least like get it earlier than the general public.
So when this will go public, like you say you will have pre-beta, so what kind of tags you think if you complete or was successful, then you will release to public?
I mean, I guess what you're referring to, right, is when actually the general public will be able to play our game, right?
Yeah.
So of course, as soon as kind of the roadmap that Sven just outlined, of course, as soon as the first game features start coming in, of course, we have a phase where basically our early community will start to give us early feedback on the game mechanics that we are trying out. So that certainly will be something where our early community will have the first move. And this is also why we handed out beta access keys and alpha access keys in our pre-sale already. So even if you weren't part of the early family, you can still get your hands on them, and they will also be available on the marketplace, given that people will sell them, but that might be the case. So yeah, expect that, there will be this phase in the beginning, and then we slowly move towards opening that up, because ultimately we will open it up until we know that everything's working just perfectly.
So the next question is going to, do you have any experience on developing other games? What's different between on-chain and off-chain, and what kind of puzzle do you need to solve?
So there's the big question that this boils down to is really what information, basically, if we think about games as just being huge state machines, right? And state machines that need fast responses from users, right? The challenge is always with blockchain is not only that storage is, let's say, relatively expensive, right? But also any transaction that you do to the blockchain, even on fast blockchains like Flow, will take you, 10 seconds, will take you 15 seconds. And that probably will be for quite an amount of time there. So, and you'll have to use your wallet. So really the tricky part is, how can you enable a gameplay that is interactive, fast responsive, that stores some kind of, state very quickly, but then still is as secure to at some point, sync back, let's say, to the blockchain and store the data on the chain. So that's really the major point, to be honest. And we like the whole planting mechanic that we are doing, the whole fighting mechanic, the whole rewarding system for us. Like this is basically what it all boils down to. What are we having in a let's say local state or something off the blockchain? What do we store on the chain? And yeah, I think that trick is all that balance is all that matters. And yeah, I guess this is what it basically boils down to.
Anything want to add, Steven?
No, I think I think Ben described the off-chain part perfectly. I mean, in general terms, developing a game, creating a community, there's a lot of puzzles you got to solve. Right now, we're facing this interesting transition period between people are in our community, but there's no game yet, so you have to keep everybody excited. And I think we're doing a pretty good job there, but it's a constant effort. And I think we're just really thankful for the community we have already, who give us the time to develop great stuff. And I don't know, maybe this is where sustainability in another field comes in very handy, because we want to create a great product, not like very fast throw the next stuff out there.
So you think what makes different from other play-to-earn games is like you play for purpose. Other feature could make you outstanding.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for us, we see the potential of play to earn, and certainly you can use Seeds as a play to earn game as well. The major difference being that any player who is there, and even players that are just there for the fun or just for the gain of it, they still contribute in the background. So you don't need to be a climate activist to start with. You can just play a very fun game, and that's what we aim for. And at the same time, if you want to do that or not, you are contributing to a bigger purpose with every marketplace transaction, with every fight that you do in game, with every period that you have your seed planted. You actually contribute to a real purpose. So that I think that's what really sets us apart from other games. There are also many things that we combine from other games. So I mean, not only do we have kind of a leveling up system for the different families with evolution stages, something that is more, what you'd expect from something like Axie, which probably goes into the next question as well, right? But also, areas, maps, lands combined with weather is something that is quite interesting to us as well, where we have, games like The Sandbox, for example, or Upland, something that combines like real world data together with like a gamified version, right? And so I think this unique combination of those two things is also what, I mean, just in terms of the game itself, sets us apart. With hopefully, a fighting mechanism and more mechanisms that are hopefully as engaging as we know it from other experiences.
And I mean, if you have a look at the seeders, those are the creatures. I mean, we spent over a year developing them. I mean, you can't resist them. You just need to get one. I mean, they're just beautiful. Maybe just to add this very subjective, objective.
You mentioned Axie. So Any particular GameFi project you think was to take a look and what we can learn from it, no matter developer, marketing, operation?
Like from just the gaming side, and probably this also touches a bit into community. I think games like, for example, the Sandbox are games that are super interesting because they don't just provide a game. They are basically much more than a game. They provide an ecosystem and building blocks where users can build their own experiences. And we kind of want to do that too. You get your seal, you can customize it where you grow it. It, differentiates how your seal will evolve. You can really bring your own stuff. You can also, talking about integrations to other platforms, for example, like the Sandbox allows users to build their own experiences. And this is ultimately what we also want to do with Seeds. And this is hopefully what we have learned already from other games that did it great. And hopefully that we can even improve with Seeds and maybe even, collaborate with one or two of those other gaming experiences. The great thing about blockchain, right? Interoperability. And for us, this is also a great, horizon that we have in mind.
And maybe one thing to add, I mean, this is not directly an answer to your gamify question, but we are gamers ourselves. We grew up with games like Pokemon. Obviously, when I was, I think, 9 years old, I played my first Pokemon Edition Blue on the Game Boy with no colors, and building up from there over World of Warcraft and whatsoever. So we want to. I always feel like, Ben, right, when we talk about Seeds, you always have, or sometimes have, those sentimental feelings to previous games you experienced in your lifetime. And I think we can also learn from all those old classics and at least take the great essence to this entirely new field of blockchain gaming.
From any games, no matter whether it's GameFi or not. So my next one is talking about business model and revenue of the token economic system. So first question is how you create revenue for company operation for your team.
So in general, we have various kinds of revenue streams. So for example, the best or the most immediate example with the marketplace is that obviously we charge a small fee on this. We ourselves do new pack drops and stuff. And in the game later, when you do certain things, we will definitely have here and there small fees that don't hurt the single user itself, but gives us the space to keep developing the whole ecosystem and make it better and better. Obviously, what we're also having, I don't know if we touch on this today already, we will have our own token, right? The Fruits token. And there we will also have obviously this integrating this token. I mean, Ben, you can elaborate more on it, but it opens a whole new world and makes this ecosystem even bigger on this side.
So yeah, maybe that, as Sven said, this goes almost above the revenue system. I mean, we are not just doing a token for the sake of it, just because you need a play to earn token in order to enable that kind of game experience. We really want to create an ecosystem around the game, and we think of additional use cases of our token and to really integrate it within a partner network that will create shared value for this token. Yeah, as we kind of said before, we won't bring out a token just for the sake of it, but it is always tied again to the purpose. That's why on every transaction we'll have around 1% fee towards carbon offsetting projects as well. And this is also how Seeds could bring revenue for players, right? Because by playing Seeds, by growing those seeds, you can mint fruits. And so the game and the token is tightly interconnected. But of course, also we have the general primary revenue and secondary revenue, right? So that probably you could give us also some insight in.
Yeah, definitely. So, primary would be basically just you can buy new packs from us, right? Where you can find new NFTs. You can buy, for example, water in the game and all this stuff. As Ben said, secondary will be our marketplace and all this stuff. So we have several. I think the more we will reveal of the game, the more defined and concrete for the audience this will become.
Those user countries can not just for earn, it's also from certain purpose, and that could bring the value instead of money.
Yeah, so in general, we call ourselves a play for purpose game, right? So you can play to earn. That's definitely fine because everything you do in Seeds contributes to our purpose, which means carbon offsetting and creating awareness for the issue of climate change and global warming. So if you define revenue a bit more in terms of maybe moral revenue or like personal human revenue, then yeah, I mean, we keep getting the word out there and growing awareness for at least one of the most important issues of our generations, right? So that's definitely something. And also, I mean, besides earning and minting the token, I mean, you are growing your NFT in Seeds. You are making, you can basically picture this as a Tamagotchi Pokemon-like feeling where you grow your seed, you make it better, you make it more custom, more unique, you make it stronger, you can learn new attacks whatsoever. And yeah, obviously, this the cooler your little NFT monster gets, the more probably revenue value this brings to the user's end, right?
We're going to my last question. Is the ending of this? It means your final goal, any specific goal. It means when you complete this task or you reach a milestone, you will think, oh, it was successful. Can you imagine or describe for us?
Yeah, so but Ben, do you remember we always had this vision to offset carbon in the amount of what a small European country does create, right? So I think were always referring to Portugal or something. So this is definitely one goal. So we have our numbers there. And I think, so yeah, we can now talk about boring stuff like numbers and then we want to reach. I mean, with Seeds, we have the vision to create this sustainability awareness into and plant it into the blockchain field. And also, while doing this, become very mainstream, be very mainstream accessible on the other hand. Because, I mean, this is now not referring to the end game, but now going back to the very beginning of Seeds, you were able to buy your very first seed pack just with a credit card, no crypto required, not at all. So we were very attractive for a lot of non-crypto users. And I think if now back to the end game, if we can get this beautiful technology and vision thing out there to a more broader public, because I mean, that's still much more people that don't know about this that compared to those who know about it and who are into the field. I think that's definitely, however you measure mainstream in general, but that's definitely one goal, right?
And of course, story-wise, we want to defeat the evil Lord CEO II.
Yes.
This is kind of the big enemy. It will never happen, probably not, because there's so many. Our game is tied to real-world weather alerts, so probably they won't stop in our lifetime. But anyhow, that would be kind of like an awesome end game, right? Defeating the evil Lord CEO II would mean that we don't have any harmful extreme weather anymore. But yeah, this is kind of story-wise the end of our game.
By the way, whoever wants to know who is this guy we are talking about all the time, this evil Lord CEO II, just type in Seeds into YouTube and watch our beautiful video and see if you get the famous fantasy movie reference we put in there. And you can text it to us on Twitter.
Will you promote your Twitter and Discord or?
Yeah, sure.
No.
I mean, yeah, please join our community. I think, as I explained earlier, we are still in the very beginning. We are a very cozy, friendly community, especially on Discord. So join it. We have new content every day. I think tomorrow we have our first quiz, Ben. Do you know this? We have our first quiz bot where you can win some stuff on our Discord. Answering questions about a very interesting topic. So yeah, join it. Make sure to not miss any drops or any releases.
Follow the Twitter and join the Discord, and then check the YouTube video of Seeds.
So thanks for coming. I really appreciate you both coming here. This thing prepare giveaway for us. If you want to get this free lead pack, please check the description below. So thanks you both coming.
Thank you very much, folks. That was awesome for having us.